So on today's video, I had the absolute pleasure and privilege of being joined by one of our partner agents, a chap called HANLEY. Now, Kevin is someone that I love speaking to, whether it's on camera or off camera. He's someone who's always got a smile on his face and a spring in his step. He's someone who radiates great energy. So I always enjoy speaking to Kevin, and I often walk away from the conversations feeling happy and feeling inspired. But the reason why I wanted to feature Kevin on today's video is pure and simply to share his story with you, because I speak to dozens of agents every single week from all over the world. And one thing that I often find is that it's a tendency of people to put self-imposed limitations on our own potential. And those limitations sometimes show themselves in terms of age. It could be people who've worked in the industry for decades and they've got to a certain point where they feel maybe they're a little bit old and long in the tooth to set up their own business. They look back and think, well, maybe that's something that I could have done 10, 15, 20 years ago. And on the flip side, sometimes people who are a bit younger in years think, well, I'm underqualified. I need to get another 5 years or 10 years under my belt before I'm capable of setting up my own agency. But Kevin is only 21 years of age. He has got time served. He's worked in the corporate world, but he found from his day-to-day running of his job, he found that customers were coming to him by referral, by recommendation, because of success and results that he had delivered. So Kevin was keen to translate that into the self-employed world and ultimately take control of his own earnings and the way that he runs his business and his agency operation in his market. Now, I'll be the first to admit that Kevin is fairly early stage. At the time of recording this, he's only 3 months into business, so he's not long gone through his onboarding and put the foundations in place in his local market, but he's already closing high ticket deals, fees that are close to 5 figures. This young man is going to earn more money with more freedom and more impact than he ever has at any point in his career up until this point. And again, he's just 21 years old, so I personally can't wait to see where Kevin's at in 10 years time. Now on today's video, Kevin shares some of the highs and the lows, the wins and the losses, and ultimately what he's doing in order to continue to build his agency on the front end and attract new vendors into his business. It's a real insightful, light-hearted, conversational chat that I really hope you enjoy and get some value from. Remember, if you're looking to upskill yourself, to sharpen your knowledge and prepare yourself for setting up your own agency business, you can get training completely free of charge from our free members-only website at agentacademy.co. Sit back, relax, and enjoy today's show. Mr. Kevin HANLEY, good to see your face.
Hiya, Ben. How are you?
Yeah, mate. Awesome for seeing you. Really, really good. How are you?
Likewise, mate. Yeah, no, definitely. All good down here.
Good. It's good to catch you up on a Zoom and sort of see you in person rather than bouncing voice notes and WhatsApps, mate. So thanks for joining me.
My pleasure.
But look, well aware, Kevin, there's probably going to be a few people sort of dropping into this video, maybe who haven't spoke to you or worked with you or seen your face before in the past. So, mate, I'm just going to put the spotlight on you straight away. Just tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Without any warning, I love that.
Pressure makes diamonds.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely, yeah. So I'm. My name's Kevin. I'm an estate agent covering Gravesend and Medway in Kent, in the southeast of England. 21 years old. I started in eXp in August, the start of August. So we're now on our fourth month in, and yeah, it's looking quite good. Yeah, it's insane though. And I hear this all the time. People bang on about this on LinkedIn, and you hear it all the time about the freedom that you get. And this isn't sort of an advertisement for eXp, but it really is incredible. You're from coming from sort of a large corporate, as the valuation manager for one of the largest corporates in the country, to now doing it on my own. There is so much. Yeah, there's freedom there, of course, but there's so much that you can do, and it's doing it your way, whether that's right or wrong. And Ben, that was one of the things that actually we discussed on our first call together. And it was, you're going to make mistakes, we all do, but you're doing it your way and you're learning from it. And I think that's the best part of it, 100%.
Yeah, no, absolutely, mate. So let's just pick up on what you said, because people might be just like rewinding or scratching, checking their headphones, thinking that they heard that wrong. You're 21 years old, right?
21, yes.
Yeah. Mate, I remember when I set my first business up when I was, I forget, maybe like 23, 24. And I always look back now, like 10 years on or whatever I am, 7, 8 years on, and think, oh, that was really young, but I'm really glad that I did it. And you're putting me to shame in terms of some of the success that you've had and the age that you've kicked in. So, mate, tell me,
what was your background before coming in? You was working in a corporate, right? Before you started your own agency.
Yeah, I won't obviously mention. I don't think we can mention companies, but it was one of the largest corporates in the country. So yeah, so I was in a corporate. I was a valuation manager role in a slightly different area to where I'm working now, and it was all go 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 as it is. And I think, to be honest, you need it to be all go 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 in this industry. And there's different types of estate agents out there. I was always very much sort of leave me to it and I'll get the job done, if it were. But it was very sort of target driven, as of course, naturally. I think some part of the business needs to be target driven. I think that's still important, but it's about the repercussions if they're not met, I think is a massive fear for people working in that industry, and a massive toll. It takes a hell of a toll on your mental health as well, I found, for myself, especially. Of going out and, you're going out to sort of, well, in a day, you're seeing 3 or 4 properties every day, 5 days a week, and you're expected to bring them to market. And if they don't come to market, every single property you're scrutinised as to, well, why didn't this come on? Not a case of we lost it, they didn't come on, well, they're choosing not to sell. So, and it's almost our job to try and convince someone to sell. And I think that is the mistake. I think that's where the industry's gone wrong, if I can say so at 21.
No.
A few MDs looking at me thinking, what's this little kid on about? But ultimately, I just in my opinion anyway, from experiencing it on the front line, if it were, I think that's the problem with estate agency. The rewards the rewards don't reflect the work that's put in, and I think that's the key part there.
No, definitely, mate. I agree. And mate, as young as you are, you've experienced, you've been on the front line, you've been in the coal face, you've spoke to hundreds, thousands of sellers and buyers. Your opinion, your insight is as just as anyone who's 20, 30 years ahead of you in the curve. It's interesting, though, that you've identified those things so early on in your career, because, normally I'll be speaking to someone who's maybe in the 40s, 50s, 60s, even, who's been a lifelong agent, and they've kind of seen transitions through different markets. And it's took them a long, long time to kind of come to that catalyst moment where they thought, right, enough's enough. It can be done better. I want to do it my way. I'm not satisfied with these earnings. My work-life balance isn't amazing. Clearly, you've identified all those things early on and kind of made a deliberate choice to step out of your comfort zone and do something about it. Let me ask you, mate, how difficult or how easy was that decision? I know that I spoke to you a few times. I spoke to your mum even very briefly. We had a conversation, had a little bit of a Q&A, which is obviously great. It's important to have the backing of the family. But ultimately, you didn't hang around. It was like you knew what you wanted to do. You could see the vision and where you wanted to take it, and you just sort of went straight in. So what, am I right in that assessment, or was there more going on behind the scenes that maybe I didn't see?
No, you're spot on, mate. Exactly what you just said there. Yeah, it was something that I've always, from, not to give my life story, but very, very quick background prior to sort of working in the corporate, I've always wanted to be, and again, this is something I always see, people thinking, you don't see kids growing up want to be an estate agent. I always did. Looked up to my always. From when I knew what I wanted to do before I even took my GCSEs, I was like, this is what I want to do. So regardless of what I get, and I was always a very basic kid, sort of C's and D's, very average. So I knew this is what I want to be. I look the part, and I can talk, and we'll go from there. I looked up to my cousin. She was a lettings manager for a large London-based firm in Mayfair, and I just sort of looked at her and I thought, wow, this is incredible, this is amazing. Sort of what she gets, incredible. The money's there, everything's there. And then when you start a little independent in Gravesend in Kent, you think, well, it's a little bit different to Mayfair, but it is still sort of there. And then ever since then, I've sort of worked my way up the ladder, as we sort of explained, and that's sort of where we are with it, And to answer your question, Ben, sorry if I'm rabbiting on. To answer your question in terms of what made me go and do it, I always wanted to have my own estate agency. I didn't want to be running a large company. I wanted my name above the door, and that's exactly what eXp offers. And I think I needed that nudge to in yourself, and in yourself, to make you sort of go, well, Kevin, this is possible now. You can do this. The cost for starting an estate agency, I don't need to say, thousands upon tens of thousands, to get where you need to be. At a high street presence, a lot of people think you need to have, and all the rest of it, the advertising, Rightmove, Zoopla. And eXp offer that sort of middle ground that allow me to have all what the big agents have, but do it from the comfort of my own home and do it my way.
Was there an element ever of, because obviously we've never, I find this so crazy to say, like with not just you, mate, but so many agents, because there's so many WhatsApps and social media and it connects us all. And we're speaking and chatting most weeks. Feels crazy to say that we've never met, but we've still never met. Hopefully we do towards the end of the year, but at this point we've not. And certainly, obviously, when we first started speaking, we never met. So was there anything in your mind that kind of thought, all right, what's the catch? This is too good to be true. Yeah, we'll see how this pans out. Or was you sort of at face value thinking, do you know what? This is legit. I'm going to. Was there any sort of skepticism at all, or did you just take it all in your stride and think positive, positive, positive?
I've got to be honest. Yeah, there's a huge amount of skepticism. 100%. I was like, no, this isn't. I just wanted to sort of sit down because I was contacted by can I mention names, sponsors?
Yeah.
I was contacted by who I class as yourself, as quite a good friend now, in all fairness. And again, we've never met, but we have that sort of connection with Matthew Life up in Derby. A great agent smashing it up there in Derby from what I'm seeing. So he was obviously the first person that reached out to me. It was on LinkedIn. And it was just very much a case of, oh, hi, Kevin, I can see you're a valuation manager for XYZ estate agency. Just want to see if we can jump on and have a little chat. And I'll never forget the call. It was it was a Sunday afternoon, and we was having a barbecue. It was in sort of the middle of the summertime. And he was just like, discuss everything with me. You know, I thought, well, no, there's got to still be targets. There's got to be something. I assumed it was like some of the other self-employed models that are out there, but it's not your own company. And he sort of, the way he was describing it to me, I was like, I'm sure this is possible, but yeah, again, what's the catch? How much do I need to invest into this? Dare I say it? No apologies, Ben. This pyramid scheme. That's essentially what it looked like, but it's not, and it's so. It's incredible. It really is. I can't say anything else that's good enough about it. You know, it really is good. And the thing is, though, it's so different to all the other self-employed models out there. That's what I like, because it's not it is, but it's not. It's your own business.
Yeah, no, that's that's a massive thing. I mean, I guess it's kind of like, I honestly think, mate, that's the cornerstone of why we've grown so big and so aggressive, because I'm not just talking about agent counts and bums on seats. Obviously, you know, from a macro perspective, the amount of agents we're bringing on is important. But what's more important than that is the production. It's how many we're listing, how many we're selling, the pipelines people are building, the money that people are making. And the reason why I feel like it's kind of just come on and just blown up over the last couple of years, and hopefully continues to do so for many more to come, is because of that autonomy. Because it is, you know, like you said, no KPIs, no targets. You choose the markets you want to go for. You choose the way you promote yourself. You create your social content. You choose the fees, the terms, the people that you onboard. Everything about that business from the ground up is built in the mind's eye of the agent. Now, I might not do everything how you might, and you might not do everything how I would, but that's okay as long as my business works for me and your business works for you. And I think, I don't know, mate, it's almost like when you've got that control and that autonomy over what you're doing, I think it gives you, it sounds dead cheesy, mate, but it almost gives you like a connection to the business where it's your baby. Versus if me or Matt were on the phone saying, Kevin, you need to be charging this fee, you need to be targeting that area, why have you not signed up this many properties? It just kind of sucked the fun out of it, wouldn't it? And you'd feel like you're working for the man rather than doing something in your own name, if that makes sense.
Spot on, mate. No, you're exactly right. And again, what you just said there is like, if anyone is thinking about, and again, I'm not getting paid to say this, if anyone is thinking about joining eXp, just have a sit down with not even myself or you, Ben, any agent in eXp. And I think we all share, again, we do things differently from one agency to the next, but I think we all share we all share common ground in the sense that we are good estate agents, we're experienced, but now's the time where we've had enough and we're really sort of going out on our own. And I think the money side of things is the most important part for eXp. You're earning what you deserve to earn. And I think this is the first time in this country that I've ever seen. Again, I'm 21, but I'm sure many.
No, mate, 100%. It's honest, isn't it? Because it's like, no matter what your background, no matter where you grew up, how wealthy you are, no matter what color or gender you are, like whoever you are and wherever you're from, it's honest. You get out what you put in. If you're going to put the hustle in, then there's a good chance that you're going to see the return off of the back of it. If you're going to sit at home and wait for business to come to you, there's a good chance it's not going to work for you. I think that sort of level playing field, that's the best word I can use. It's honest. Anyone who deserves to, who's going to put the hustle in, stay focused, stay consistent, they're likely to do well. The ones that won't, won't. And the beauty of it is that it takes away all the excuses. It's like you can't blame him or her or that or this. I didn't like that, didn't enjoy it. It's like, no. You've got all the tools, you've got all the framework, you've got all the support you need if you need to tap into it. Now the focus is on you, Mr. Agent, to go out and build an empire. So speaking of building an empire, mate, we're still sort of fairly on in the stages. So let's not sit here and pretend that you're a millionaire and everything's great and you've got full market share and you've got the best pie charts in Kent, because I'm sure that's not the case. But talk me through some of talk me through sort of the first sort of 4 to 8 weeks. How was that transition? What did the onboarding look like? What was the first month in business? How did you get your initial business? And ultimately, where are we today?
Yeah, cool, fine. So with the onboarding, again, that I'll be honest, and again, honest is the word we're using, it is a long process to start initially. I just wanted to get going. I was like, right, let's go, you know. But it is a long process. It took around a month all in, I think, to get the company up and running by the time we sort of registered and everything we had to do behind the scenes, which is a lot. As I'm sure you obviously, you know yourself, Ben. So there's a lot to it. Then when you get going, it's pretty much you get the green ticket against your name and sort of you do your AML test, your anti-money laundering test, and you're ready to go pretty much at that point. So from that point, I was extremely, extremely fortunate. And when I say extremely fortunate, I hope Money gets to see this video. Thank you so much. I was contacted. I did a pretty good job, I like to think, and I valued her father's property when I was working for that large corporate, and they tracked me down and asked me to sell theirs. So yeah, I was very fortunate enough. I went in. Can I mention sort of fees and things?
Yeah. Go for it, mate.
I'm quite proud of it to do so. So it's a property that's we've sold it 2 weeks ago, achieved 550,000, and the fee we've got out of that is 8,200 thereabouts. So
mate, getting on for 5 figures.
Yeah, I know. So it's very obviously. I'm fully aware that this isn't going to be the case of all of them, and that was the best jump start I could have had to start the career. But if anything, that's now given me an even more kick in the butt to go, right now, Kev, look, you can't let this sit now. You need to go out and get some more listings and get as much as you can.
What have you done with that result? Have you leveraged it yet, or are you still planning to, or have you not thought about that, or what's the?
With the homeowner's permission, of course, I have definitely, I've advertised everywhere, not obviously fee or anything like that, but I've advertised the fact that, look, we're a brand new agency, we're not a large chain, and we've just sold this property in excess, by the way, I might as well mention, the homeowner wanted 500, so in excess of, 50 grand over what they were expecting.
Yeah.
So we're advertising that like mad, and I think it's a big accomplishment for a large
mate. Mate, that's a massive result, and I'm sending you a big virtual pat on the back, mate, because that is a great result. Mate, it reminds me of I had a similar sort of result, like similar sort of prices and fees actually as well from it was Victoria Road East. It was called, like a road going through sort of my main territory, and that sale for me, it took a long time for me to get into that price bracket and that fee. So I started with a lot of the, like £1,500 fees and things like that at lower end, studio flats and terrace houses and things. It took me a while to get to something of that kind of value. So first props for doing that. But once I got that, the biggest thing for me, mate, and the biggest pivot in my business that led from that to multiple more 5-figure fees, kind of getting an average fee of 8.5 grand over time and ultimately capping, was I got that. I had a picture of the property that I'd sold with me in front of it, and I built it into a direct mail letter, but basically like told the story of it. I was like, so a couple of years ago, I got called out to value the property of Catherine's dad. Went really well, built a great relationship. And ultimately, when it came to selling their family home, it was with a heavy heart. They didn't want to move, but they wanted someone they could trust. And I'm privileged that I got the call to go out and see them. We put a marketing plan together. We followed this step, and this step. We did A, B, and C. And ultimately, within 2 weeks, we got her an offer at X. And now this is what they're doing. The next day, I got a call from Catherine saying, Kevin, thank you so much. And build a testimonial in, but ultimately tell the story of that sale, but tell it in a story format, not like a sales pitch. Include pictures. Could be a long form letter. It might be 2 or 3 pages long with testimonials built in. But I did something very similar to the one that I sold. And mate, that just got me through more doors and more 5-figure fees, £1 million plus listings off of the back of sharing that success. So the one thing that I find a lot of people do is they get a great result like that. And then, they'll sell it to eXp, they'll share it on Workplace. It might come up in a meeting, they'll get a high five from the colleagues, but they don't leverage it in the local market. So, mate, I'd absolutely use that as a springboard, mate, because what you'll find is Other people who've got £550,000 houses will see that and they'll identify themselves in place of your client. And it just positions you as that guy who deals with £500,000 plus properties who's going to get the results. So I think the more you can leverage that, the better, mate. And hopefully it goes on to be much more profitable than the $8,000 that you've just got. If that brings you another 10 listings over the course of the next 12 months, then that could be a £100,000 sale, not an £8,500 sale.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, 100%. Then couldn't agree with you more.
So what's been going on since then? I know you've got a couple of papers on your desk. Can you share them? Can you pull it up to the camera so people can see?
This is the only thing. Obviously, you take some things away from you from corporate because I think it's just built into you, isn't it? Like, I used to. Obviously, I'm going around. I won't show too much of this, but yes, I'm going around door knocking. So there's quite a few papers on here that I've been sort of jumping on board with. But I think some things you need to sort of just strip back to basics, and that's just a case of like just an example. What we're going through is this list of things about 10 properties, sort of around sort of this is targeting the Gravesend area, and sort of looking on there, and you're thinking like, so I think another thing. Can we mention this as well? Ben, the quality of a lot of advertising, I think, could be so much better. I think as well, if I can say so. And a lot of the eXp guys, that's the thing, because obviously we're focusing on that one property or a certain amount of properties. We're giving all that time and attention to these individual clients. We're giving them our personal experiences. We advertise all the time on eXp, don't we? We say, we're your personal estate agent. So I think our advertising, when you come to sort of do individual videos on the properties, we make it seem like, which is factual. This property is our main priority at the moment. So when you're speaking to us about this property, we're not going to speak to about 30 other properties. We're going to look after you. We're going to make sure we achieve the sale. And I think that's what eXp agents, we're advertising that, and we're also showing that we can get the job done the same as these guys can. In fact, we can probably do a little bit better. So
it's powerful that, because I always say, like, regardless of what your long-term plan is, again, because going back to what I said a few minutes ago, mate, everyone's got their idea of a great business. Your great business could be my idea of a nightmare, and vice versa. So even if your goal ultimately is to have 100 listings and boards in every street and great pie charts and market saturation, that's fine if that's what you want to do. But whether you like it or not, when you come out of the traps in that first sort of 6-month window where you're still fighting for instructions, where you're still trying to build brand, where you're still building social proof, where you're still trying to find your feet, whether you like it or not, you're bespoke by definition because you're dealing with small volumes. So I think it's such a powerful sales pitch to be able to look someone in the eye. And vendors don't always understand what goes on behind the scenes. They don't know the difference between a good and a bad agent. They don't sell a house every year or even every few decades in some cases. So to be able to look them straight in the eye and say, look, I only deal with 5 properties. I'm not interested in being mass market. We've not got properties on every street corner. We're not looking to be the biggest agent. We're looking to be the best. Your property is 20% of my entire portfolio. How much more motivated do you think I'm going to be to get that property sold? Because if I don't sell it, I don't eat. And I think when you can sort of break it down to the basic nuts and bolts of the components of what we're offering and what this is, the customer can just relate with that. They can say, actually, well, I'm 20% of Kevin's business. Of course, he's going to be more motivated and he's going to have more time and more effort and more energy to put into the sale because I'm only one of 5 rather than one of 500. And I think when people recognize that they're not just a number on a spreadsheet, there's actually a relationship and a story and a connection, and they've got access to the owner whenever they need it. I think if you can demonstrate that value, A, it helps with conversions, but B, people don't expect to get such a hands-on, bespoke, specialist, creative service and pay bottom dollar. Hence, you've just smashed a 5-figure fee, more or less, from your first instruction.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's spot on. I mean, I can't really add to it because you're spot on in what you've just said, mate. 100%. Yeah.
And mate, I just want to kind of draw back on what you've just shown there. So you pulled up a load of sheets about going door knocking because it'll be very, very easy. And sometimes I get this right, sometimes I get this wrong. It's important to share success and celebrate that and let people see on the outside looking in what's possible. But it's fair to say that this is a roller coaster, right? You don't ride a roller coaster at the peak. Sometimes the dips and, everything in between. The market is quiet at the moment. Stock, across the country is in lower supply. We're coming into November and December, traditionally not the busiest time of year for agents, certainly in terms of new stock. You're going out door knocking, not because you enjoy door knocking. That's just a necessity now, right? You need to build up the business. You need to replenish stock. And that's you now. This is your front end way of getting down and dirty and rolling up your sleeves, right?
Exactly. I think I would probably class this in hopefully a couple of years' time when, hopefully I'm a successful business owner. Dare I say it? Hopefully then I'll look back and go, this was really when my agency started. This was, I was given that by the luck, all the luck in the world I had that. That's excellent. And yeah, obviously I did the work to get the fee I got, etc. But this is where it do or die, I think it's do or die, it's sink or swim really. And I know that it's going to be hard to obviously get properties on, but it's a case of I've been doing it for a large corporate for a long, long time. So I'm just doing it in my name now. And like you said, Ben, I used to be this colour, now I'm this colour. It's the same as that, except what you're promising these people is factual, it's honesty. And that is one thing that estate agents certainly don't have a reputation to uphold. So yeah, I think that's
And also, mate, like on that note, because again, you can understand this might sound like a sales pitch to some people, but the reality is that in yourself, in your heart of hearts, that you will work harder. You do want it more. You do have to sell it. You do need to build the business. You do need the listings. You do need the sales. You need the income. You know that you will genuinely move heaven and earth to deliver for that client. I almost consider it almost like a reframe on behalf of the agent, that if you truly believe that you've got a superior service, or there's something about that advert or that experience that you can improve for that seller to get them their result, you've almost got a moral obligation to make them aware.
Yes.
Just sitting back and think, it's a bit cold today, I don't fancy door knock. What if someone slams the door in my face? Like these, it suppresses your potential and stops you from achieving your goals. But B, it's also a complete disservice to vendors in your market that you otherwise would be helping and securing sales for. So yeah, I think it's amazing it really is. And mate, it's quality that you're getting out and doing it, because, people can, as I said, they can see the highs and success. They can see us talking about 5-figure fees. They can see fancy videos and social media promos, and it looks great. But this is the reality of what being a business owner is, right? You've got to do the hard yards, especially in the early stages. So, mate, credit to you for getting out there and banging the doors down.
Thank you, man. It's never stopped. It's you work. You need to be on the go all the time, I think, and that's the most important part. Yeah, there's flexibility, but to get it up and running, like you just said, then yeah, and I appreciate what the comments you just made, mate. Really do.
Top man. Well, mate, it's incredible to see where you've come so far, albeit we're very early on. We're far from a home run just yet, but anything I can do to help, mate, where I am. But Kevin, keep up the great work, mate. It's inspiring to see.
Thanks, Ben. Much appreciated, mate.
Top man. Catch you soon.
Cheers, mate.